Hello. So, while the newest hero Fafnir is mostly unexciting, um, I did a video about him, which I'll probably link at the end of this video, but he's not very exciting. His abilities are pretty meh. He's not a very good hero. But at the same time they released him, they reworked Ishmael. And Ishmael is very interesting because they actually nerfed him a long time ago, but with his abilities now mostly kind of returned or whatever, he's like mostly been unnerfed, but he's better than ever. Because the nerf happened before pets were a thing. Now they added some more pets. He was, for the longest time, since pets were released, he could only use Fenris as a patron. Now he can use other patrons. Plus, they gave him some Ascension abilities, which are a big deal. This one right here lets him force miss magic attacks. And then his crits do more damage. This one's not as big of a deal as this one. This one's huge. This one actually lets him evade Helios damage. Like I said, that and it buffed his vampirism. Like I said, between the vampirism and this thing lasting 6 seconds, plus it lets him dodge magic damage now. With his ascension ability, like Helios isn't even really a problem for him anymore. This ability is still pretty meh, doesn't really do a lot, but like I said, overall there's a nice upgrade. But probably more importantly is they changed his patron list. Now he can patron with Oliver. He can also patron with Mara. That one's probably not relevant though. I mean, maybe if you need magic defense boost, but overall, the Mara patron, I think, is probably the worst one. But generally speaking, though, we want to talk about like whether or not he can tank. So I've been doing some tests, right? So one of the major issues Ishmael has tanking, and this was an problem before, is that he has a tendency to get stunned. Right, and this is kind of the line we're running here. But like you'll just watch, like you see how Ishmael gets stunned. The chain stuns. Like, that can actually be deadly for him. Like, if you get stunned too much and you don't get an ult, like, that could be a problem versus some lines. This line should be pretty easy for this team, though. But Ishmael actually died because he got stunned a lot at the beginning, which is actually pretty bad. And there is also something else I added to the game recently that will actually help you with those stuns. But amazingly, Nebula is apparently a good tank because she actually survived. But also, it's a Jew team without, like, a second real front line DPS. So Nebula is really able to dodge like all the frontal DPS, and then Martha's absorbing the backline. So this lane is actually going to get a win with Nebula tanking. It's kind of funny. We're going to speed this up though. Just kind of get to the meat there. But Nebula is actually doing damage. She's buffing the physical attack a lot. Fox is here. Because Fox, here's the other reason. Like, you might think Fox is pretty bad. She is. Except with Ishmael. Well, we'll have to talk more about the Ishmael line. Like, after this here, we will... like talk about it in depth, but like this Nebula here though, like it's being tanking. She has Kane patron, and she's actually just destroying this Jew here. Like there you go, she got there. But if you look at the damage, Fox of course did a lot, but Nebula, you don't usually see Nebula do 640,000 damage, but she ulted a lot. Ishmael did a lot of healing Martha there. Or, like I said, take a damage. You have the healing Martha there to prevent the damage. I click both of them down that way, but, you know, he did some self-theme damage. So you do have that. Oliver does some healing here. Oliver, you definitely need Oliver if you want to put him in the front spot. He died really quickly, though. We still got a win because Nebula was tanking there because they didn't have a second hard hit. But, those stuns for Ishmael, like, he died really quickly because of those chain stuns. When he's getting stunned, he can't attack, which means his vampirism's useless. So that's deadly. Like, you know, yes, so Serenity eventually comes down, but it's too late to save Ishmael. And that's always been a problem for Ishmael for a long time, is the chain stuns. Like, Sebastian is never fast enough to save Ishmael. But there is a solution now, and that solution is Chorus. Chorus will protect Ishmael from those stuns. Like, Chorus... I mean, arguably the best pet in the game. I think he really is. But look, you saw those blocks. That's because the stuns didn't happen. Now he's able to attack normally, keep himself at full. Actually transformed his ult, which lets him attack really fast. Get a bunch of healing from vampirism. Now he just gets to tear apart that line. Like I said, that's the bonus with Chorus. Chorus is very good with Ishmael. Generally, you probably want to use Axel or Chorus. The other pet you might consider... depending, like there's also Albus or Kane. Kane sometimes for like a mid if you need to give a chance to actually just outright dodge. Like say maybe they have like some heavy hitter that you need to try to dodge against or something. you might want Kane. Probably not Kane, but Albus is another one. Is probably the third pet you'd consider. Maybe Kane. The other pets, there's no reason to really use ever any of the other ones, but Axel and Chorus, those will probably be your most used pets. Kane, maybe. Albus probably third most, and then Kane possibly, but... And these ones, there's no reason to really use any of these ones. Like, maybe you can make a case for Oliver. I think Kane's usually better, but... Mostly you'll probably be using Axel or Chorus with a Ishmael team. And we're going to talk about the line. So the line here is super important, is that you have Nebula sitting between... Sebastian and Ishmael. Usually you'll have Albus on Sebastian for the bonus damage on his crits there. Where is Ishmael? Here he is. And usually, because it's super important that you have Nebula between Ishmael and Sebastian, that's generally been the key to Ishmael teams. And if you, like I said, so the problem though with this is that armor penetration buffers, a lot of them will actually sit between Nebula and Ishmael. So if you go to any of the armor pen buffers, like Ishmael, Almir does that. Tristan sits in front of Ishmael. This is fine if you have an actual tank. Usually would be Aurora, like if you have Aurora, but then you don't have a healer. Ishmael, Isaac, he also sits there. Morgan sits there. So all the armor pen buffers actually mess up this line. This leaves Fox as the only option. So if you, like said, because you don't have... Ishmael doesn't really have a lot of armor penetration, especially if you're using Oliver instead of Fenris. If you are going to try tanking with Ishmael, you need to have Oliver on him, otherwise he'll be too fragile. But so that means he loses that armor pen buff from Fenris. So Fox is going to be your best bet to buff armor pen for an Ishmael line. So Fox, very good here. She has a place here. And healer is either going to be Martha or Thea, depending on what you need. Thea is going to be better for the mages. Martha could be better for like something like Jew or something. Martha's worse versus Aurora. If they're using Aurora, you probably have to use Thea. Same thing if they're using Cleaver. Thea is going to be better versus Cleaver. But those will be the main two. And if we're against certain lines, you might need a tank, which is usually going to be Aurora. Like if you're using a tank, it's probably Aurora. In which case, you probably end up using Kane on Aurora, and then Fenris on Ishmael, and then having no pet on Nebula. That's usually... Mara can be really good on Thea. Sometimes, like, depending, like, on the line, you might need Axel on Thea. If, like, say they have Jew, you don't want her to die. It's just depending on what the other team's running. So, like, all patrons on Thea could be useful. Merlin can get her to silence more often, which can actually charge her energy a bit faster, so she can AE heal more often and put up magic defense buffs. So those are generally 7 heroes. Like, you have these 5 plus Martha plus Fox, depending on what you need. But these 3 heroes, Ishneb, Seb, that's the core of this team. So that's why you use Fox, because the other arm pen heroes just literally will not work with this line. So Fox really is your only option here. So let's go look at some other fights. This is against Trinity Twins. This will showcase one of the major problems Ishmael has, and that is dodge heroes. This is the other thing we're trying to tank with Ishmael. Fully max Celeste with Oliver Patron. If you don't have Oliver, I think Celeste will actually stun Ishmael with her attacks. Like I said, I think Oliver gives enough life so he doesn't get stunned by Celeste. But if you don't have Oliver, I think he'll actually get stunned by those hits, so that's another reason why you need Oliver. But as you see all those dodges, like, Aurora's just spamming. This is one of those major problems that Ishmael, he will struggle versus Aurora or Dante or Heidi, who just spams a bunch if they have Kane Patron. They just bomb it out a bunch of dodge buffs. Also, though, note the whole mid line got wrecked by the twins there. Crystal Lars, just, like, raked them over the ice there. And like I said, plus you have, like I said, even though you have Thea here buffing the magic defense, the dodge is just too much for Ishmael to overcome, and this is just gonna kind of grind out. Trinity Twins is a really good team. And it just, like, so this is not a win, on this one, but there is a way to get a win with an Ishmael team. Sometimes, like, you'll still have some issues, like, if she dodges out, but, like, you'll have to run a tank. This is where you'll cut Fox. Like, also, none of these heroes have enough armor to really need an armor pen buff. So you'll drop Fox for Aurora versus this line. Bubbles of Justice, like, Aurora has, like, the 6th highest health in the game. She has, like, 1.1 million health maxed out. So Bubbles of Justice, like, Aurora has a lot of health to Bubbles of Justice with Aurora. Also, Ishmael actually killed Aurora this time. But just having a heavy health tank to work with Bubbles of Justice. Bubble of Justice works better when you have a high health tank like Aurora. Plus she mitigates magic damage really well. But it's just like, it's such a, especially when you can take out Aurora, but if this works a lot better versus Twins, if you use tank, like, again, Aurora can still dodge out and just wreck your day just by dodge spamming. Like, we can run this again with that line, just see how it works. But, like I said, the other thing they said, I've mentioned this many times, they really need to find a better way to sort heroes because this gets really hard. We need Aurora here, actually, and then Ishmael. Like I said, you'll use Fenris there, and then Thea. Bubbles Justice, and boom. So we'll just speed it up. Said it just really depends if the dodge is like that. She's dodging really well this time. But we're sort of, like I said, the thing is we're actually surviving. That's just a better showcase. Like I said, the whole mid line did not die because Aurora is able to help mitigate damage via Bubbles of Justice, and eventually you might be able to get a win here. You're probably better off bringing in like an cutting Nebula for Isaac. If you have Isaac, I would also recommend cutting Nebula for Isaac against the Twins line like this. That'll probably produce a better result. Then in which case you do Aurora, Ishmael, Isaac, Sebastian, Thea. But like I said, Aurora made a huge difference over Fox because you just have so much more life with Bubbles of Justice there to mitigate. So it's just like you do need to use Aurora versus some of these mage teams. But that's a win, like I said. So that's one of those things you'll run into. And then you'll have a team like this. Like pure damage is also going to be a problem. You cannot beat, said we actually have I've meant to show you the line and then show you the replay. So like I said, this one, Iris is going to be another problem for Ishmael because she does pure damage. Similarly, Heidi, Yasmin, Maya are also problems. Heidi's doubly problem because dodge and pure damage. But Ishmael dies here. You know, it's just Iris is just will just destroy this line. Like I said, Ishmael does not have a real answer versus pure damage. He can evade the magic damage now, but he can't evade pure. Right, and obviously this is an end. There, speed that up. But there goes Iris doing a bunch of damage. Then goes Sebastian. Like this is what I'd say. Sebastian, his battle song does pure damage. Like that does just like I said. That's why you have Albus on Sebastian, so he can do pretty much double his pure damage with battle song. So that's one of the issues. So generally speaking, the heroes you have to really watch out for with Ishmael teams are gonna be. Oh, we should do maximums because Iris the bomb. So like Iris, Heidi, Maya, Yasmin. Like these are the heroes who will probably give him the most trouble. Like because he has no answer for his pure damage, and these heroes will probably beat him most time. Maybe a bit less so with Yasmin. Like if you have Aurora, if you want to use Aurora with Yasmin to get some dodge buffing going. But generally speaking, pure damage will finish him. Heidi's a doubly problem because the Heidi also, if you lose Kane on Heidi, like he can buff dodge. Like Aurora and Dante are also problems here because of the dodge buffs, especially if they have Kane Patron. Like a lot of times he can just run into them, they'll just dodge every attack. It doesn't matter like how much armor pen you give him, how high his crit gets, how much damage he does. Like if he can't land a hit, he's not going to win the fight, and RNG can sometimes work against you. So that's kind of like the pitfalls of an Ishmael team. But yeah, no, he's, like I said, Ishmael is way, way, way better than he was before. And he also kind of gives Fox a role again. Fox like I said, if you're investing in Ishmael, you probably want to invest in Fox as well. But generally those 7 heroes, Ishmael, Sebastian, Aurora, Nebula, Thea, Martha, Fox. Kind of like the 7 you need. And then you can add like Jew and Isaac to that for guild raids or something. But yeah, anyway, hope you guys found this video informative and fun. If you wanted to see the video I did about Fafnir the other day, check it out below. Thanks for watching.